Good afternoon. It's the 20th of March and it's Wednesday, and it's also time for the Wednesday curveball. I know I used to call it snelball in Afrikaans previously, and that should translate into fastball. But I think for the purpose of this all purpose and intent curveball is quite fitting. Tomorrow is Human Rights Day in South Africa, and if you look at what's happening in South Africa, then you wonder what's the point of having a Human Rights Day. There's a Human Rights Commission. Whatever lands on their table, it also remains to be seen. If you look at, especially where my main focus is farm attacks and farm murders, if we want to use the word white genocide, and what's happening in our cities, people at universities as well. For those of you that collect that one people's rights that's been infringed and how people are being treated in South Africa. You wonder what is actually the purpose of Human Rights Day. I came across this clip that somebody sent to me. Now, if you have seen the clip, all good and very nice, but I feel that I need to, especially in the light of Human Rights Day, to uh, uh, elevate a few points, and then you can decide for yourself where we are in society, in South African society, if we measure against these 9 points that I'm going to discuss with you. Now, Nikita Khrushchev, he used to be the Russian president, and he had several speeches, and most of his speeches was recorded and referred to in media at that stage. Now, he made this speech on September the 29th, 1959, and it goes about communism. And he said in that specific speech that uh, feed them small doses of socialism, and one day they wake up and they already have communism. Now, communism, he says, will be the ideology of the future. Democracy will cease to exist when you take away from those who are willing to work and give to those who are not. During this speech, Khrushchev made 9 points. And if you look at these 9 points and you look at, I'm just going to try and describe to you what's going on in South Africa in South African context, you will see what I'm actually talking about with this. The first of them is healthcare. Control the healthcare. Now we know that there's a healthcare bill that's on the table, and they want to take private hospitals and turn them into public hospitals, because the public hospital system in South Africa is actually in such a state that you cannot actually allow somebody there. The hygiene in those places are it's absolutely atrocious. People are lying in their own vomit, lying and dying in the passageways because there are just no beds for those people. The and I don't know what the death toll is in the other hospitals like that. I mean, there's a big hospital in Johannesburg that burned down the other day, one of the major hospitals. You talk about the Baragwanas, you talk about the Salamatkete hospitals, you talk about all the major hospitals in South Africa. Uh, but if you look in the in sense of Johannesburg, what is the state of those hospitals? Now they still want to take control of healthcare. And if they take a normal hospital, let's say like Unitas Hospital, or they take Groote Schuur and they turn that into a public hospital, the amount of decay that's going to hit those hospitals, big hospitals that have been established for so many years, is going to be frightening, because they want to make one healthcare system, and this is the healthcare system that they copied from the rest of the world. So they want to control the healthcare. They're going to control what medicine you get. They're going to control what immunizations you get, and that's where one of the big things come in. We we see what they plan for humanity, for humankind in the next few years to come. The second point that Khrushchev made was to create poverty. Now, if you look at poverty, if you look at what's happening around South Africa, you've got your very poor rural areas, you've got your very poor or slightly better off communities around your cities. You've got your absolute poor living in squatter camps within your cities or in the fringes of your cities, and you if you make those people poorer, make them without an income, you can give them what they want and they won't fight back. So it's easier to control those people. Now, one of the things that runs hand in hand with the increasing of or the creation of poverty is the increasing of debt. The amount of debt in South Africa is absolutely astonishing, and even the Reserve Bank is battling to keep above the let's say above the bread line. Because the Reserve Bank, this country is actually, if you look at it, this country, and everybody can resonate with the fact that I'm saying this country is actually bankrupt. There's no like economic growth in this country. There's a few people that's fighting the utmost best to actually keep this country afloat. But this floating boat is actually going to sink soon. And what Khrushchev said is that if you increase the debt to an unsustainable level, which is which that in turn will give you an opportunity to raise taxes, and this in turn will also create poverty. Poverty. A few of you will probably sit upright with this point. Gun control. Remove the society's ability to defend themselves, and the government in that way will be able to create a police state. If we look at guns, what is one of the main things that's actually taken on at a farm attack or farm murder? In the aftermath of that, the and I mean, it happened in East London. They couldn't open the gun safe, and they couldn't get the keys for that safe. They just pulled the safe out of the wall and laid it onto the back of the truck, and off they went. In most of these, I would say at a ballpark figure, at about 95% of farm attacks, they actually take the firearms. They never leave without the firearms. It's very seldom that there's actually firearms left, or that they then did not mention in the report that the firearms were taken. So there's one example. Also, a couple of years ago, the police wanted us to all of us to return turn in our firearms. Now, what happened to those firearms? That's anybody's guess. But uh, and also the turnaround time to get a firearm license in South Africa, waiting up to as much as 2 years. There's people that said, yeah, we can do it for you in 6 weeks, but they make it so difficult for you to actually get a firearm license that you get to the point that there's no point. And also on the flip side of that, there's a lot of people that's running rampant. That doesn't have that's got a firearm, but they don't have that firearm license to their name. Point number 5 is welfare. Khrushchev said, take control of every aspect of people's lives: food, housing, income. That will make them fully dependent on the government. Now, there is going to be a few people that's going to kick against that. And I know that people are actually saying, no way is that going to happen in South Africa. But that's the plan that they've got for not just for South Africa, for the whole world. To and you can see it with their plans about food control. They want to put everybody in these smart centers, that you've got your room or your basic studio apartment with all the shops there, and you need to have permission to be able to go out of that let's call it the commune. Also, then the income. They want to make a standard income for citizens, so that nobody is above the other. So there's further on you'll see that I'm discussing division between rich and poor as well. So that's part of the plan to actually start controlling people. Now here's one that's going to make a few people very tight under the collar, because we know already that there's movement on our education system in South Africa. They want to pass a Bella bill, so that if the moment your kid walks into the school grounds, it belongs to the government. They want to have control over your kid, to say whatever they want in that school will happen, and the parent cannot do anything about it. Now there is a reaction that was required, requested from parents and controlling authorities, your that's in your schools, to have the say in the bill. But when it comes to what Khrushchev said, is that to take control of what people read, what children learn in school, take control of those curriculums, and teach them what the government wants them to know. Take control of what happens in school, principles, beliefs taught, and other things that uh, is going to be able is going that's going to enable them to have control over your children. Once they have control over your children, automatically they will have control over you. Remove religion. Now, this is a tight point which goes so far that one needs to be careful not to step on somebody's toes. But I mean, look at how many of these religions or factions or beliefs that was previously banned was given free rein after 1994. And I'm not going to name any of those religions, but they want to remove God from the schools. I mean, they already removed Christian subjects or religious subjects from schools, and what is now taught is probably more something that is a broad perspective of what religions there are, but specific details of your religions just not practiced in schools anymore. I think there's very few schools in South Africa that still opens with scripture. I mean, when I was a kid, we would in the morning we would start off and somebody would pray for us, and when we leave the afternoon, somebody would pray again, and that was how we started and ended our school day. These days, it doesn't happen like that anymore. We see what happened at the local university, Potchefstroom University. Uh, that young guy Christie, he spoke out against beliefs and questioned why the Christian belief wasn't supported in that university, and he was hammered. So that is what where they're going with this. They want to remove the belief from God in schools and also in society, and because people only need to believe we need to believe that only the government knows what is best for them. This is coming. And if you look at the science, you will see that these things are already the signs are already there. Like I say, or like they say, where there's smoke, there's fire. And look at where the smoke is coming from. And you'll see that there's a lot of these aspects that Khrushchev addressed in 1959. Is actually starting to happen, and we are being fed socialism bit by bit, and in the end, we're going to sit with the communist state. I spoke earlier on, or I mentioned earlier on in this production that there's a division, and our poverty is being used to create that divide. It's going to create a class welfare. Now, we see that prices have already ballooned in South Africa with regards to a few things. And even the Woolies and outlets, they're now competing for lower prices with the best out there, your Pick and Pays, your Checkers and your Spars, and whichever shopping chains there are for better prices. So because the guy that's got the better prices, the guy that's actually going to get the food or that's going to get the feed in his shop. Um, if you look at how and it's not a matter of you can buy a whole trolley full of relatively less costly produce at one place, because some of the stuff that you need is on a discount at another place. So you have to drive between this shop, and that shop to actually get everything that you need at a more affordable price. Now, Khrushchev said to bring this divide between rich and poor, you eliminate the middle class. Now, the middle class is still in effect in South Africa. It's still there, but that is the plan is to uh, get rid of the middle class, and that way, when you have only rich and you have only poor, look at what happened in the French Revolution. It was only your poor people and your rich royalty. That way, you create discontent amongst the poor, and having the poor to support you is going to make it easier to tax the rich because you've got the support of the poor. We know already that media is being controlled. You can go and have a look at some of your daily newspapers. There's a small little block that says NASPERS. You can have a look at Network 2024 that's got a whole lot of outlets, especially social media outlets, Property 24, and Those are the guys that your bigger media houses, they are under control of a bigger entity, and that bigger entity decides what is being published. There's long since been a silence in the media about farm murders, and I investigated that before I started my journey in publishing farm murders on video last year around May, June. And it was just a subject that nobody wanted to touch because either you get threatened or either that it's a taboo subject because farm murders in South Africa apparently does not exist. Uh, Go and have a look at rural newspapers or your small towns in the rural areas like Middelburg, Polokwane, or Petersburg. You'll see that the Petersburg Observer now runs under the banner of the Citizen. So there's a lot of, and you can go as far as KwaZulu-Natal as well. You see that a lot of these newspapers are actually belonging to a bigger media house that's dictating what they should say, what they should not say. Uh, let's say, for instance, farm murders and farm attacks. Uh, when I started looking into this, I realized that there's not a voice for farm murders. Uh, and I did some investigation, and people said to me that the journalists just don't want to touch the subject because either they get threatened or they get silenced from up top because the bigger media houses do not want to boost farm murders or the fact that there is such an element of atrocity in our country because so-calledly, and according to Cyril Ramaphosa, the president of the ANC, he said that farm murders in South Africa does not exist, but it is true, and it does exist. And you can have a look at a lot of media is now actually suddenly starting to wake up and say, okay, but now let's start looking at farm murders again and do some publishing. But also the facts in those are sometimes twisted. I mean, I worked with a case the other day where I had the facts from the ground, from the CPF, where these people were working with the facts. And then 2 days later, another one of these major newspaper outlets came with a different version of this specific incident in the Northwest Province. So, and it's not just your dailies, it's your magazines. They say whatever they want because they know that they're virtually untouchable because of the magnitude of the footprint, uh, they've been distributed. Distribution, that's the word I'm looking for. But and it's not just that. Go and have a look at social media. You say something wrong on Facebook, and you're tricky for 2 weeks. You say something wrong on X, and you're in a tricky for 2 weeks. So, but there's a lot of ways to work around these, and especially the truther community on X has found those ways, and there's ways to get these things out. You must just not say the wrong code words. So it's not just about code words; it's about getting the truth out there so that people can be exposed to the truth and stop believing the lies that's been fed to us for eons already. I hope a certain media uh, channel will forgive me for using those words, but at least I did not use the exact words that they used. We need to ask ourselves, where are we? How far have we progressed? Uh, Perhaps progressed is not the correct word to use, but how far have we fallen behind in this onslaught against the not just South Africa, the world community? How far have we missed the obvious signs that there's a power that wants to control what we are, how we do things, what our beliefs are, what our traditions are. Uh, so you go and do a bit of introspection as to where do you think we are. And you can leave a comment in the down below. You're more than welcome, and I'll try and address your question, and I'll see if I can get a bit of a conversation going with you. But you are more than welcome to leave your comments down below, and I will have a look at them later. Last Friday on the Friday roundup, I mentioned the case of Darby Maria. He was back in court this morning in Potgieter's Rus, and his case was postponed until the 29th of April. I see there's an additional charge now, that of assault, where initially he was only up for attempted murder and resisting arrest. The state initially opposed bail, but after some deliberation between the legal teams, he was let go on bail of 10,000 rand. So keep the Maria family in your prayers. They need it at this stage. Your farmers need them. They need you as well, and keep them in your prayers. And then for those of you that's going away for this long weekend, if you've taken leave for Friday, travel safely, please. Return back safely. Be vigilant. Look after yourself. For those that's staycationing, enjoy your kids while they're at home. Give them some time, about 5 minutes if you're still working. If you did not take Friday the day off, give them some attention. Let them sit with you for 5 minutes. Let them see what you're doing and what's waiting for them once they finish with school. Enjoy your day, and yeah, God bless. Take care of yourself.